All right, so we've made it this far. We've upgraded Liferay, we've upgraded the infrastructure, and we've upgraded everything in between. Before we call it good, let's talk about some of the things that we need to test before we say we're done. So testing our upgrade. So there's a couple different places that we need to take a look at, a couple of different things that we're going to investigate as we ensure that the upgrade process was successful. We're going to start off with our server startup logs. As we're starting up Liferay, we want to ensure that the startup process is going to be clean, no exceptions, no errors coming through. From there, Liferay is going to do a data verification process. We'll talk about how do we take a look at those things and how do we configure them. Taking a look at our sites, we want to make sure that through the upgrade process, our sites look the way that they should. We're going to test the front end, taking a look at some of our JavaScript and some of the other stylings we may have applied, make sure things look good there. We'll ensure that everything that we did in the upgrade process still meets our goals. We'll talk about what sort of goals we're talking about. Making sure our applications, our portlets made it through. So let's go ahead and get started. First off is going to be those server startup logs. As we're starting up Liferay, sometimes things don't always go right and we'll get an error or an exception that comes through. And we might get different errors, just kind of depends where we are, right? Maybe there's a file that we can't find that got lost along the way. The logs is going to let us know about that. Maybe we tried to use a technique that's a no-no. Our logs are going to tell us about that. So whatever sort of errors we get, we want to ensure that we investigate what the error is and resolve those errors accordingly. I know it sounds very generic, but again, there's a wide range of different things that we may run into. So when you're starting up Liferay, keep track of those logs just to ensure everything is fine. As you do, any errors that come up, go ahead and do some investigating and then try to fix it according to the error. Liferay's data verify process. Liferay is going to verify that everything in regards to data is good. So it's going to do two different verifications. The first one is going to be the core of Liferay. The second one is going to be the modules. Let's first start talking about the core. So lucky for us, the core of Liferay is going to be checked or verified automatically as we're starting up Liferay. So we're good there. Now, the one caveat to this is that by default, it's only going to verify it one time. So maybe we want to verify it all the time, at least for a specific duration of time, right? So maybe we upgraded Liferay and we want to test it out for a few days, make sure everything is good. We can set a property that basically says, yeah, every time Liferay starts up, do the verification process. We do that or we handle that over in portal.ext.properties. And so there's one specific property, verify frequency, that we can adjust to determine how many times Liferay will verify its core. So we have three options. -1, it'll always verify. 0, it never verifies. 1, it only verifies just one time. So in the example previously, we set it to -1, so that way every time we start it up, it'll go through that verification process. Next up is going to be each of our individual OSGI bundles or OSGI modules. So not every single OSGI module in Liferay goes through or is going to have the ability to be verified. Only some of them do. And so in order to check that out, you're going to want to be first off in developer mode and you're going to access the GoGo shell. From there, as you access the GoGo shell, you're going to type the command verify:list. Now that verify portion is very important since there's multiple list commands. So to run the verify process, all you do is verify list, get a list of modules, and then if you want to verify a specific module, right, you'll use verify:execute, and then the qualified name that came from the list, the verify list. Goes through and lets you know, is the data good or not? Right, so next up is testing our sites. Now this one is a little bit more easy, more straightforward. You just head over to your Liferay site and you take a look and make sure that things are the way they were. Going from 6.2 to 7.1, maybe we upgraded our theme along the way. So we want to make sure for the most part, it still has either a very similar look and feel, or that all of the navigations still go to where they need to go, right? Clicking on the About Us takes us to the About Us page, right? Clicking on specific documents or links or buttons takes us to the place that we need to go. So you want to make sure you do your due diligence over there and test those things. Right. Along with the pages, you're also going to want to check out the content as well, right? So head over to the web content section, take a look and make sure the web content is there. And if you have a test page or test site, make sure that the content can actually display. Right. Next up is the front end itself, right? We want to make sure that we can test our Liferay instance on different browsers. So go through, you'll use Chrome, Firefox, IE, whatever other browsers that your company requires you to use, right? So just make sure things are good as you go through your different browsers, right? Sometimes different things are occurring because of CSS or JavaScript or anything in between, right? We're going to want to make sure, again, our theme is upgraded accordingly to get us to the 7.1 world, right? A lot of changes has occurred with the theme throughout 6.2, 7, and then 7.1. And JavaScript errors, right? Open up that console in your browser. Make sure you don't get any weird or unexpected JavaScript errors. So just make sure everything is good on the front end. Things look the way that they should. Right. So we have Liferay upgraded. We have everything tested up to this point. We want to make sure that our own business requirements, right? Our PMs, our bosses, whomever are also satisfied with what we have done. Sure, it's nice to upgrade to Liferay 7.1, but we want to make sure that whatever it is that your company is responsible for doing, displaying, showing, whatever Liferay is designed to do for you, that it's still doing that. So if you have a specific use case that Liferay is implementing, make sure that it's still doing that. I know it kind of goes without saying, but we got to be thorough just in case. And our big one is our custom portlets, right? So there's a lot that we went through in order to get a custom portlet to work and upgrade it into Liferay 7.1. So we want to make sure that that same process is done through all of our custom portlets. So big things that occur, right? APIs are changing. So we want to make sure that our custom portlets are accounting for those new APIs, right? It's not enough just to put the portlet on the page, right? We need to make sure that it still works. And one of the big things is making sure we have updated our APIs. Next up is, right, did we convert that custom portlet to an OSGI module? Again, that opens up its own sort of can of worms, a lot of things that we have to consider when we bring our portlet to the OSGI world. So make sure all of your dependencies are resolved. If you went the OSGI route, right, your build.gradle, your BND files are set up correctly. And then again, it's not enough just to have it on the page. Make sure to test it out, right? Push those buttons, fill out those fields, make sure all of the functionality that you had before is still working. Hooks, EXT plugins, kind of everything else. Again, though we don't say it in this way, again, hooks are kind of expressed differently in Liferay DXP 7.0 and 7.1. So back in the day, right, we just had a hook plugin and it just did a bunch of stuff for us. Now hooks, again, are implemented differently than before. So there's, right, kind of a translation that we've had to go through. So we want to make sure that the functionality of our hooks back over in 6.2 are still being implemented in 7.1, whether it's modifying JSPs through portlet filters, or maybe right, listening for specific application events like Liferay starting up. And that's implemented differently as well through a module and a component. So if we're upgrading from that world over to 7.1, right, we want to make sure that we are using the designs that we have in 7.1 and that they are doing what we expect them to do, having the same functionality as what we had over in 6.2. So we always want to test those out very, very thoroughly. All right, so this brings us to the end of our upgrade, right? I hope you picked up a lot of nifty tricks. I hope this helps you out through your upgrade journey. Again, if you need that help, go ahead and reach out, right? We have Liferay Global Services. We have others out there who can assist you with your upgrade journey. So again, make sure that if you need it, right, you can grab it. Otherwise, thanks again for joining me. My name is Eddie, and I hope to see you again in another video.